So, hello everyone, good day. And we are proceeding to chapter 13. And this chapter, we will discuss the principles and strategies of teaching and designing IEP for learner with difficulty remembering and focusing. So, learners with difficulty in remembering and focusing have learning characteristics that makes receiving and interpreting information, no? Uh, Interpreting information challenging. Due to these difficulties, these learners required intensive and frequent individualized intervention. So in this chapter, uh, it suggests for the possible implementation in the classroom and in the uh, development of the individual education plans. But before that, what is um, IEP first, no? So I will give you a glimpse by presenting this video, so you can have knowledge about the IEP. So that is the video. And so as you observe and the video presented, that learner with disability has spatial accommodation. So in IEP, it is the individualized education plan. So IEP, it is usually essential the how to instructions on providing the children with a specific education now. And this document is this instruction are legal documents. So as I introduced by the I mean as introduced by the previous chapter, it is developed by the team, no? By the team of professional together, and of course the guardian of the child, that specific learners perform level and measurable annual goals. So, take note, not all learners are are providing this. Not all learner with disabilities are required to accommodate by uh, the IEP. So, uh, but the question is, how can we identify which learner are required IEP? So some school use response to intervention, or what we call RTI. This is a systematic pre-referral process that helps teacher to determine whether the learner is to be identified for referral for special education. So in previous chapter, no, I'll just give you a review about uh, RTI, since the previous reporter and in chapter in the previous chapter, it was already discussed about the response to intervention. So this is just for a review. So RTI, or response to intervention, it is a high quality evidence based intervention, and it is an ongoing student assessment, and it has their instructions that must be followed. So uh, of course parents must be involved uh, in this response. So RTI has three tier, no? We have tier number 1. All learners receive the high quality instruction in the general education. So uh, before that, no, uh, response response before that, response to intervention is a process, no, being used being used across the country in order to provide, no, in order to provide optimal services for student. And RTI is a process or a framework, not a curriculum or a program. Remember that. So the goals also, what is the goal of response to intervention? So the goal of RTI is differently for the different age of the student, meaning um, it depends uh, on the age of the student, no. So for the young age, no, for the young age, like kindergarten to grade 3, we can conceptualize the goal of RTI is being prevention, meaning it is used to prevent reading difficulty. So for grade 4 to senior high school, RTA is used to rescue struggling readers. So, hindi naman dahil nasa high grades na tayo, we don't need help, no? So, in tier 1, all learners receive high quality instruction in the general education classroom. So student who receive tier 2 and 3 services, we need to be sure that we are focused on the extra that they need, no, that they need. One of these is amount of time. So they need extra time. uh, Student who are in tier 2 and 3, they need extra time. Another one is to make precise, no, of the group to small from the large to small group, so that we can be more focused to the student who need extra attention. The third one is narrowing the instruction focus. And tier 1, we teach all the standard, but in this tier, in this two in this tier 2 and tier number 3, we are narrowing down narrowing down the for specific subject that student needs in order to be successful. Another way to succeed the quality of the services is we just need to collect more data. When student are focused, when student is are succeeding without needs as much data to inform. When they are struggling, we need to do more assessment, no? Any kinds of answer or questions, and the final way is the amount of expertise. So that is actually that is tier number 1, 2, and 3. So by this response, we can teach as a teacher, no, and expert, they identify if the learner with disability adversely affect the educational performance, and these who are recommended learner for IEP eligibility. So IEP is annually revised, no, kapag if there are something wrong, which is the learner are not improving, meaning we need to revise the IEP plan, no? IEP is annually revised to address any lack of expected progress on the child educational performance. And IEP, the team are the one who also decided who also decided if the IEP is no longer needed, or recommended placement if warranted. So, at this chapter, we will introduce the general approaches intended to learners with difficulty remembering and focusing. So, this is the example of RTI, no? So, we have their number 1, 2, and 3. So, in this chapter, we will introduce the general approaches intended to learn with difficulty and remembering and focusing. So we have universal design for uh, learning, or what we call UDL. So what exactly UDL means? U R stands for universal, uh, meaning the curriculum must be understood by everyone, no, everyone in the classroom. So D is for stands for design. This means it refers to a curriculum. When designing your curriculum, take into consideration the diverse range of learning. And L stands for learning, but it depends on the preferences. Most common type of learner are auditory and kinesthetic. So UDL, this is an educational framework and set of principles that maximize learning opportunities for all learners by creating and implementing lesson with flexible goals, methods, materials, and of course assessments. So, but how can you use the UDL model to aid your teaching process? No, the first thing to do is to know uh, if your design are one size fit or not in the learner. Second is provide an objective and goals that we are expecting to meet. So UDL has three principles to be followed, and for the first principle, we have um, um, it includes the representation, or providing multiple representation. So this principle refers to the providing materials by presenting the context by using multimedia in different ways. But The example of this is using multimedia text, like textbook, audio, still image, animation, or even a video presentation. So for the um, principle number 2, it provides multiple means of action and expression. So meaning it is about the action and the expression of the learner. So it is to provide, it refers to how the learner express what they have learned, and it includes the written task, video task, presentation task. That's include for this principle. No, the example is to differentiate the ways that student can express what they know. No, for the last principle, it includes the multiple means of engagement, meaning it's about engagement. Excuse me. So it is provide multiple means of engagement, meaning it is to tap into student interests, offer appropriate challenging and increase motivation. So dito, we are motivating our learner to engage, no? Example of this is to stimulate interest and motivation for learning. Example is the group activity, discussion forum. So that's the example of this principle. So this is the example of designing UDL. You can pause this video for to take a screenshot. So the second approaches, no, we had the second approaches. We have direct instruction, or DI. This is an evidence-based practice effective in increasing the learner's achievement across different skill and content areas. So this this is from the word direct. It means it is a method which teacher are teaching the learner directly. This means that the teacher stands in front of the classroom and present the information. Some way in doing DI, or direct instructional instruction, are the response card and self-monitoring. So what is this self-monitoring and response card? So response card, this is help to identify scenarios that learners will give response through this following. So we have 3 following. So this is a response card. This is the way of actively engaging student and learning while they are while teacher are checking for the understanding of the student. So first one, we have first step to follow. This is to creating student response card using coded index card. No. Second is posing a question regarding the lesson discussed and wait for learners to respond to response. And third one, the last one, is performing quick scan across the classroom to see learners' answers. We have self-monitoring. And this is behaviorally based intervention that promotes self-regulation in which a person observes own behavior systematically and record the occurrence and non-occurrence of a specific behavior. So last approach, we have by the way, this is the example of self-monitoring form for elementary pupils. So that's it. So last approach, we have explicit instruction. This is a direct and systematic approach to instructional design and delivery in which students are guided through the learning process with clear statement about the purpose and rationale for learning the new skills, clear explanation and demonstration of the instructional target, and supported practice with feedback until independent mastery has been achieved. So that's according to Archer and Hughes in 2011 and his book in page 1. So explicit instruction is similar to direct instruction. It is a way to teach in a direct, no? It means this is a way of teaching directly. So structure way, when teacher use explicit instruction, they make lesson crystal clear, no? Clear. They show kids how to start and succeed on a specific task. So after identifying the lesson goal, the following teaching component could be used. So we have here a lesson opener. No, when we say lesson opener class, this could be in a form of questions to arouse the interest, no, the interest of the learners about the topic, no, to be discussed. Ibig sabihin, we are giving a hint, no, for our learners what we are going to discuss in that day. So second, we have explanation and modeling. So this is an applying. If you remember, no, in creating in designing a lesson plan, lesson opener is the actually is the activity, no. Then the explanation and modeling, this is the abstraction or application. Then guide practice. So it is a, when we say explanation and modeling, this is a clear step-by-step procedure providing example and non-example of the topic for the day. So it means we are discussing in this part, no, we are already discussing the the topic. So third one is the guided practice. So when we say guided practice, these are the opportunities for learners to practice and exercise where providing of feedback and providing is necessary. So lastly, we have independent practice, and these are to develop activities intended for learners practice and independent approaches. So I think that's end of my report, and this chapter will continue. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, my name is Farad Katak Ali. So now I will be going to discuss to you the teaching strategies. So the teaching strategies in the learners with difficulty remembering and focusing. So now I will be going to discuss to you the teaching strategies. So what is teaching strategies? It refers to the methods, techniques, procedure, and process that a teacher using during discussion. So it is generally recognized that teaching strategies are multidimensional and their effectiveness depends on the context in which they are applied. Now, let's jump up to the teaching strategies that include in inclusive education and to the learners with difficulty remembering and focusing. So we have three teaching strategies, which are the reading instruction, writing instruction, and mathematical instruction. Reading instruction. The strategies below are recommended for learners with problems in reading acquisition and reading difficulties. So if the learners are having difficulty or problem in reading and reading acquisition, the teacher must know the better strategies using for these kinds of learners. So teaching reading comprehension includes using self-questioning, using graphic organizers, mnemonics, and summarizing. So as a teacher, the better thing that we give to our learners with having difficulty in reading is that we give them a self-questions. We use graphic organizer when teaching. So these strategies are better for them to make their own idea and can guide by the graphic organizer with regards to differentiate and organize the topic. So reading instruction are also recommended to teach pupils to develop their own learning strategy. So when the teacher instructs the learners in reading strategy, it is better for the learners to know how to read so that they develop their learning strategies and help them to individualize their own way of studying and learning. For an instance, if the learners know how to read a text with comprehension, it is easily for them to make their own idea with regards to what they read. So now, we have 4 strategies in reading instruction. The first one, language experience approach. So this approach attempts to integrate reading skills with that of development of listening, speaking, and writing skills. In this approach, there are basic elements to instruct the learner such as what a child thinks about, can talk about, what the child can say, can write, and what the child writes, can read. So basically, the sequence proposed therefore is starts from thinking to talking to thinking to write to reading. In determining the reading materials, it is recommended to use the child's interest and experience in learning text. So the second strategy in reading instruction is the kinesthetic auditory visual emphasis methods. So Fernand originally designed these methods. According to him, these methods makes the reader to correctly write and read own written words combining the sense of touch, hearing, and seeing, and move to a more extensive reading materials. So the stages in these methods includes finger tracing of words on the paper which belong to tactile kinesthetic and in which pronounce each word aloud which is in auditory, and learning new words by looking at the teacher's new written copy of the word is in visual. So the third strategy in reading instruction is directed reading thinking activity. So reading is a thinking activity, and in order to direct reading to the thinking process, metacognition should be applied by the materials for reading. So what is metacognition? So when we say metacognition, it is the way how the learners process their thinking and learning. So it involves learners process how to learn. So now, how the metacognition involved in reading thinking activity? For example, in the activity arrange the scrambled words that was given by the teacher. Now, when the learners read the key words in arranging the rumbled letter, dito nang papasok ang pag-process ng learners in his reading, which is, so the learners thinks for a correct answer. At yun na ang metacognition, yung process of how the learners think of what he have read. So the last strategies in reading instruction for the learners with difficulty remembering and focusing is the MISCue analysis of oral reading. So this is an assessment strategy introduced by Goodman on 1969. This focuses on what the reader is doing right to help build on the existing reading strategies. So if the learner is reading, it is possible to commit an error or mispronunciation. So instead of focusing on the errors, MISCue analysis focuses on what the learner is doing right. It is for them to help build on the existing reading strategies. So it is further believed that readers' mistakes when reading are not random errors, but actually their attempt to make sense of the text with their experiences and language skills. So now let's proceed to writing instruction. So learners with difficulty in writing have problems with basic skills in handwriting, spelling, punctuation, and grammar. So there are some students that have struggling in writing, such as in handwriting, mistaken in spelling, pronunciation, punctuation, and grammar. So the studies suggest that explicit instruction, including practice and feedback, could help learners develop basic skills in writing. So in using technology can also aid writing difficulties. So below are other suggested teaching strategies in writing instruction for the learners with difficulty remembering and focusing. So the first one is the study test technique. So this is giving of pre-test at the beginning of each unit of study where the words misspelled become the learner's study test. So this pre-test is the testing of spelling, pronunciation, and grammar. So if the pre-test is given in the beginning of the unit, there is also a test that will give after the unit to determine the learner's mastery, which is the post test. Second, cognitive strategies instruction in writing. So the cognitive strategy instruction in writing was developed by Englert and her associates on 1992. So the cognitive strategy instruction in writing was a research program aimed to developing learners' expository writing skills and knowledge of various ways that a text could be organized. And the last strategy in writing instruction for the learners with difficulty remembering and focusing is the self-regulation. So this strategy requires the writer's continuation, vigilance on the graphic, syntactic, and semantic errors that happen in writing. So according to Graham and Harris on 1987, developed instructional procedures for their strategy, which includes first, the pre-skill developments, second, review of current performance level, third, discussion of executive strategy, fourth, modeling of the strategy and self-instruction, third, mastery of the strategy, six, collaborative practice, and lastly, the independent performance. And now, let's jump up to the third teaching strategies for the learners with difficulty remembering and focusing, which is the mathematical instruction. So the same as previous areas, the use of explicit instruction is suggested in teaching mathematics. Additional strategies are also recommended below. The first one is the motivational approach. So this strategy teaching mathematics should be motivational than teaching computation skills without a context. It is according to Jenna 2013. So this strategy means that when teaching mathematics, learners should be exposed to problem-solving approach and strategies using day-by-day life. And last strategies in mathematical instruction is the error analysis. So this strategy, the reason for committing errors in mathematical computations, provide information on specific problems experienced by learners. So the common errors include the concept of place values, computational facts, using wrong process of calculation, poor concept of carryover and working from left to right and reversal direction.